Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. I don't know. Today, I was thinking about what to talk about today, and while I was doing that, I ran across a video that kind of interested me and made me just start pondering something a little lighter, a little freer, a little interesting. But it's still around consciousness. It's still about us, our place in the world, and how we place ourselves, and and it's just a topic I find in general fascinating. But today I want to talk about our place in this world, specifically as it goes to animals, maybe even to the point of some of the ways that animals have started interacting with humans that seems a little bit new. And does that mean anything for any particular reason at all? Do we have good ideas about our intelligence as compared to the animals, or have we just assumed we're something special? Is that an accurate assumption? Should we be challenging that? What's really going on with that? So I guess it's just a topic we're going to explore. I don't really have all these answers. I think I just am a little more open minded into looking than a lot of people seem to be. Um, I guess we'll start where I started. I saw this video. I think it was from India, and they were pushing the idea that uh, alligators or crocodiles, I don't remember which, are pretending to drown now. Apparently, their front arm can be spread out and it can kind of look deceptively like a hand if it's just out of the water and they're just like flailing their water and splashing about. You wouldn't be able to tell that it wasn't a human. And the video was pushing the idea as a proposal that alligators have learned to fake drown in a way that looks human like in an attempt to lure humans into the water for feast time. And that's terrifying because now what? I got to be walking down the water and wondering if a crocodile's going to eat me if I decide I want to go help somebody that's drowning? That's crazy. I've never heard of anything like that. And maybe we never would have heard anything like that unless somebody sees it from the shore and figures it out. Anybody who falls for it isn't coming back to tell the tale. We don't do well against gators once we enter the water. We get in the water and it's over. On land, there are apparently a few ways that you can deal with alligators, but if they want to eat you, you might be up for a challenge if you don't know how to evade them, which I think zigzagging, they don't zigzag well. So I think just avoiding running in a straight line is what I've heard. I don't know. If your life's in danger, don't take my advice. I mean, it's better than no advice, I guess, but better find out if you're going to go to alligator country. I don't live anywhere near alligators, but yeah, it's crazy to me how people how animals are starting to interact with us. And this isn't the only case of strange new animal interactions. So let's start with a little bit of like mythology, for example, that turned out to not really be mythology. And I guess I say this to say why I think this behavior is genuinely new, rather than just something that we maybe have poorly documented, because there is a difference, and I think this is how I'm going to explain it. Let's look at the Kraken, right? We have had the Kraken, this giant multi-armed sea monster that can attack ships. It's been seen for hundreds of years out attacking whales. There have been scars of like the suckers damaging on whales. This has been seen by people. And before we had like photography or things like that, we had like artist renderings at best claiming what they saw. And let's be honest, I could just draw anything. I doesn't have to make it a picture. Like a photograph would really clear that up for a lot of us wanting to believe it. And we all know that weird diseases happen at sea. For years, there was scurvy was a problem. We didn't understand how malnourishment worked for a long time while we were sailing. So we just gave people food and we assumed that that was sufficient without knowing nutritional requirements and things. And so people got sick on ships all the time. It was easy in the old day to look at people on a ship and just think they were outrageously crazy because the entire ship got infected with something, like maybe they hallucinated, like had group hallucinations because of molds on wheat, right? Like there's all kinds of weird diseases that struck ship crews. And so ship crews have never really been considered super reliable. Like the fishtail, right? The fishermen, we don't trust the fishermen because they're always lying about something. They've always seen something that just is unreasonable, unbelievable, whatever. And so we write them off, and it's really easy to do because of the way that they suffer out there. I mean, even the loneliness or the the lack of civilization. You're limited to just your small group of people. Like all of that has an impact on us, and so we just don't think too much of that type of story. But we have found, and I think it's only been in the last like 20 or 30 years, if that, that we discovered the giant or the colossal squid is a real thing. There are squids out there that are humongous that can attack whales. They are real, and it's not just some sea legend or monster. And so that's not a new behavior. It's not new that squid have been interacting in a way to where we've known it. That's where this mythology came from, right? We didn't have it documented. We didn't have it proven. We just thought it was a bunch of crazy, seafaring people that came up with this, and we didn't take it seriously until we proved it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, maybe these stories about the Kraken were real. Maybe some were exaggerated. Some were, hyperbolic or exaggerated or otherwise. But at the end of the day, the colossal squid is real, and it's been interacting with humanity somewhat consistently, at least for a few hundred years. Now, I would expect if we had animals interacting with us, there would be legends about alligators faking drowning to lure humans in, and maybe like I'm not even going to say that that one's necessarily a new behavior. I could see mythology for like sirens being caught up in there. If you have in something splashing around, it looks like it has features that could be human like. Its tail moves around, and you could think that that's fins or a flipper or something on that. Like I could see that maybe that's what sirens were, is just alligators or other sea creatures that understood the concept of faking drowning. So I suppose that's a possibility. I suppose those are possibilities. So maybe what I'm saying doesn't make sense. Maybe we've had these myths like sirens luring us to save people or luring us to do different things, and I just don't think that sirens make up a huge thing. And I think we would have heard more about the dangers of alligators or the dangers of trying to save somebody uh, from drowning in places where these types of animals live. I would think that that would be a common knowledge thing if this wasn't a new interaction, because it seems that if they're smart enough to do it, to lure us out there through faking drowning, they're probably smart enough to communicate that. And I don't know, maybe they're just individual animals. I mean, I think lizards don't tend to be as pack animals as mammals, so maybe it has to do with that. Maybe they don't teach each other. I don't know. But the best thing I can say is that maybe sirens, maybe something in some of that mythology I could see, but otherwise, I have a real hard time, at least, and maybe it's just the limit of my knowledge, but I have a really hard time seeing anything that does anything other than calling this a new behavior. We also have other interesting ways that animals interact with us, and it's kind of been, infamous or notorious or knowledge, pretty common knowledge for a long time. Like dolphins saving people from shark attacks. This is something that's been around forever. I wonder what the deal is with that. Like dolphins, why would they care to save us? I mean, I suppose there's a lot of interesting reasons that could be, but that doesn't seem to be new behavior. That seems to be their behavior. And I guess I don't know. I just wonder about these things all the time. Like, why would a dolphin care to save a human? And additionally, I think I've also seen footage of dolphins saving other animals from shark attacks too. I want to say maybe a manatee was rescued by some dolphins, and and dolphins are really interesting. They just go up and they just slam into the gills of the shark. Like they're just like throat punching a shark, right? Like trying to break down their gills. Um, and they just build up speed, run into smash into it with their face, and do that over and over and over again, trying to damage the gills of the shark. Um, and why would they do that? Why would they get involved? Aren't they afraid of the shark? Couldn't the shark turn on them, eat them? I mean, they're more equipped than we are to deal with it. Is it rescuing us because they recognize we aren't a sea creature? I guess that wouldn't make sense with the fact that I think I've heard of them saving manatees too, but so that wouldn't make sense. It would just be Maybe they just save, or maybe it's a thing. The shark's distracted with something else, so they see their opportunity to go take down a bully while it's distracted without risk to them, and to them, we're nothing more than bait. Either way, there's a tremendous amount of intelligence in it, right? If they're saving us, then that almost implies empathy. If they're doing it because the shark is distracted, that implies a level of intelligence that we assign a pretty high level of intelligence to dolphins, and I think this is one of the reasons. Um, and But this behavior is old; it's not new. But this isn't the only place we're seeing new interaction between animals and us. Like killer whales, orcas, they are like, there are people that think the orcas have declared war on us. They think that orcas are systematically teaching each other to come at boats, to disable boats. And you really got to wonder, because just like the Kraken, you got to imagine we'd have stories of killer whale attacks or orca attacks. We'd have stories of that throughout history if it's been happening, right? We've had boats on the water forever. Maybe it's the volume. Maybe they're just mad. Okay, fine. Enough is enough. We're going to get rid of some of these. I don't know. Maybe one accidentally learned they could disable a ship, started teaching the others, and went, "Hey, we don't have to bow down to this anymore." Maybe it's just no more complex than that. They realized they had a chance to fight back, and they spread that. But again, the intelligence of that knowledge, the will to spread that knowledge, and then the will to like attack something bigger than you. Like, why would this be going on? There's a number of ships that have been attacked by orcas. It started in I think, I want to say it started like in the Mediterranean or near the Mediterranean or somewhere in that direction of the world. But I think the behavior has been seen off the North American coast now. Still the Atlantic though, but like, but if it's spreading across the ocean, if this behavior is spreading across the ocean, it implies teaching, implies the sharing of information and communication, doesn't it? Or at the very least, modeling, getting going, rounding up your buddies and showing them you can disable a ship. Like, something's going on. Like, and why? Like I said, some people think there's a war. Maybe it's a nuisance thing. Maybe they're playing. They just figured out a new way to play. I don't know that we really have any good answers. I think some of this is why we're putting so much time and money into trying to learn to communicate with whales right now. There's a team that's just reported a bunch of products, a bunch of research that they've yeah, I guess they're claiming small little conversations with a certain type of whale. I don't remember what kind of whale, but people are claiming they're making progress in communicating with animals. I guess AI is helping with some of this to a large degree. Um, and and so we've got this thing where we're studying what the hell's going on. Why are whales attacking us? What is their interest in attacking us? Is it intentional? Is it coordinated? Are they trying to communicate with us and send us a message telling us to back off or get out of their water, or whatever? And then it makes you wonder, because whales and crocodiles are both water-y animals. Like, crocodiles are amphibious, of course, but is there some common interest? Is there some way that species are cross communicating and teaching each other how to deal with this human problem the way they see it? Are they collectively doing anything? Is there something they know about telecommunication that we don't know? Do they have a you know a telepathy to where they can communicate differently than we can? Maybe they do different things than verbal. Maybe verbal isn't their only way to go, or I don't know. It's a really interesting subject to think about, the way, because it just fascinates me that all of this is all of what I've talked about seems like new human behavior, except for the Kraken, or new behavior of them interacting with humans, except for the whale, or except for the Kraken, and and that had mythology, which leads me to believe that all of this is actually pretty new. And why would that be? Why? I don't know. I think, I guess the point I want to make out of all this is, I think animals are so much smarter than we give them credit for. Dolphins protect, and whales seem to be teaching each other skills to disable boats out in the ocean. Um, it. It really challenges the idea that we're smarter than all of them, or that we are inferior intellectually. And what if the only advantage we truly have is our tools and our educational exchange, information? The fact that we've so completely developed language and communication to the point where we can exchange incredibly complex ideas that they just may not even have a full language to exchange their ideas with. Um, but But I guess that's just another thing that it makes me also wonder, as this behavior change, is it related to them having figured out what we're doing to this place? Have they figured out that we're basically burning their home to the ground? Have they figured out that we are throwing random shit that's no good for anything into the water, the ocean, the ground, just fucking everything up? It starts making you wonder because we're starting to look at places where, like, primates may, in the last few decades, have entered what we would call the stone age in our own history. They're using spears to spearfish. Like, I've seen videos of orangutans just hanging from a tree with one hand, spear in the other hand over some water, waiting for that fish to come by, and then they just spear that fish. I've seen it. Not in real life, but there's videos of it. They're out there. And what's really different between us and Stone Age us? We weren't really that different back then. We haven't changed that much. We're not quite so big brow, but our brain really hasn't changed that much. Our rest of our body really hasn't changed that much since the Stone Age. All that's happened was we got better and better at using tools. We got better and better in communicating each other. We got better and better at building infrastructure for education and tool making and specialization. And that may be all the further ahead of the monkeys we are. And they have us as an example. How fast do you think they're going to go through their stone age? Do you think they're going to take as long as we did? We had to figure it out for ourselves. They've got us to look at. They can hang out in that tree and watch us make a fire, try to figure out how to fucking do that. Because then they know it's possible because they saw us do it. They just got to figure out how. We didn't know when we created it. Was probably an accident to figure out fire control. Whoever figured that out was like just a balls out person. It's like, I'm not afraid of that fire. I'm gonna go see what that's about. Burnt himself to hell over and over, and then he was a god 10 years later, going, "I understand fire." That's who knows. That's probably how it started in different tribes. Somebody's fucking figured it out because they just went and they took the burns. They tried to figure it out. They thought it had value. And but that was experimentation. What if they just watch us do it and they can learn so much quicker? They might be 100 years behind us now, for all we know. If they can look at us and start learning from us and start doing all of that. Now, I'm not saying that's possible, but we've been surprised. We've got some gorillas out there that know sign language. They look like they're empathetic. There are social orders in these things. They look like they get slighted. They look like they get hurt. And in all of this, you got to wonder, do the animals know something's going on with what we're fucking up in their environment? We think that we're just here killing ourselves, but we're here putting an end to species we've never even found and documented are dying every day and they're never going to be known. And that's okay. That's how most species of life went. That nobody knew they existed. They existed. They came. They went. There was nothing to remember them. I think that's how life's always been. So I guess it's just a human notion that we want to have this sentiment of, I guess, remembering species, but it is sad that we're killing them all. And what if they're smart enough to not want to die? And what if they're smart enough to be putting together those jackasses that build all that stuff that doesn't look like anything the ground produced until like 200 years ago? What if it's those jackasses? What if this is intentional? What if it's, hey, we're tired of fucking humans running our shit. I mean, it's a fantastical idea. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the animals are rising up to get us, but I'm not saying they're not either. It's kind of weird. Kind of weird. And we're just now learning about how smart they are. We're just now learning about how smart octopuses are. Crows. We think crows are like we think a crow could give the average 7-year-old a run for his money. Put a 7-year-old and a crow together and they can compete. That'd be a fair game in a lot of tasks. It's crazy. Just a little crow with his little fucking pea brain. And they can match wits with a seventh grader? Fascinating. Not seventh grader, 7-year-old. Sorry, huge difference. So anyway, I don't know. I just thought it'd be interesting to think about. This is just the kind of stuff I think about. I don't know. Maybe videos like this aren't going to do well. This is just me pondering weird shit. If you like pondering weird shit, then I guess come back for more. And if not, comments are where you tell me what you want to see out of me. Uh, but I guess with that, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and call this guy. Just thinking about the animals treating us a little different than they used to, and where that might go. Anyway, until next time, be well.